Everyone, welcome to the Wednesday, July 31st, 2027 Zoning Committee meeting. I'd like to call it to order. Agnes, please call the roll.
Pelletier.
Here.
Labrie.
Here.
Shumsky.
Here.
Wagner.
Here.
Zagorowski.
Here. Okay, all right. Let's see, in addition, we have Chris from the IT department. We have Tim, our attorney. Agnes from City Council office. And we have our city planner, Lee Poyat. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, doesn't look like there's anybody on Zoom. Okay. All right. In compliance with the open meeting law, is anyone either audio or videotaping tonight's meeting? If so, please state your name and address and reasons for doing so. Anybody out in the audience doing that? Okay. Okay. All right, Kristen, are you recording? Probably is.
Yes, Counselor.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right, thanks. Okay. All right, some housekeeping procedures before we start the meeting, please. Cell phones, please put them on silent or on mute. Thank you. When speaking public input, you'll be limited to 3 minutes. Please address the chair. This will be strictly adhered to. Violations could suspend the meeting. All right. Okay. We have a couple items on tonight's meeting, and we'll proceed forthwith. All right. Item number 1, zone change application, mill conversion, commercial center overlay for the entirety of property located at 0 Chicopee Street and 445 Chicopee Street, parcel ID 0442-00091. And 0442-00090. Adding the mill conversion and commercial center overlay for the purpose of the proposed residential development. The applicant is Chicopee Property Management, LLC, CO RISA, TL 112 East Street, Granby, Mass. 01033. Is the applicant here? Okay, could you go to the microphone, please, and please state your name and address and what your proposal is for this evening, please. Thank you.
Okay, good.
No, that's
Is this
fine.
on?
That's fine.
Okay. Good evening, Rebecca Lee with R. Levesque Associates, located at 40 School Street in Westfield, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Chicopee Property Management, LLC, to propose the parcel ID 0442-00090 to be encompassed within the mill conversion and commercial center overlay district.
Mm-hmm.
And this was recommended by the planning department. So we are seeking for approval.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Well, actually, counselors, we'll hold a thought. There's a couple of things we'll do before we'll have you come back up. Okay. All right. If you could have a seat, please. There's a couple of things I wanted to go through before we open this up to a little bit further discussion. Okay. All right, item number 1. We are revisiting this property from the May 29th zoning committee meeting. At the meeting, there was a motion made to approve the zone change from business A and residential A to residential B. The zone change passed. Under Res B, single family and duplex housing is allowed. The mill conversion and commercial center overlay, that was another part of this applicant. And this passed initially the zoning meeting, and this was put before the full city council meeting on June 4th. However, this was voted to bring this back to the zoning subcommittee meeting, and therefore we're here tonight still discussing this. just have a couple other remarks. So there were concerns about the possibility of perhaps subsidized housing, Section 8 housing by the neighbors, rental housing. So the overlay district regulation, mill conversion and commercial center overlay district. There's no by right use here. Under this, there's broad discretion from Chapter 275, Section 67. In particular, there's a special permit that has to be given in order to see what we could put there. And this could allow for mixed use. I know that one of the comments that was referenced that there is a food desert in this particular area, and there was talk of a grocery store. That could be built in this area if this mill conversion and commercial center overlay district is passed. So again, we're going to discuss some issues tonight. We also have our planner, Lee Pouliot. He is our expert regarding this, and in 1 minute or two, he's going to shed some light on this. I'm just going to finish my remarks. So potentially, there could be, again, single family, there could be duplex housing here, there could be multifamily or other types of properties could be put on this, depending what we decide tonight. Okay, one other document I just wanted to read into the record before I have our city planner come and discuss something. Oh, actually, I wanted to mention too that there have been some recent mill conversion overlay districts in the city regarding properties. And I'm just going to reference these. So this has been utilized before. The old Belcher School, Chicopee Falls, this was utilized there. East Street, the former Masonic Temple, this was utilized there as well. I believe there's some condos are going to be built in that area. Also through Brissa, Facemate. Also the Assisted Living Center next to the Senior Center, and I believe the Senior Center fell under this as well. So there has been some recent uses of the mill conversion overlay districts in the city, and these are projects that have gained fruition and have been helpful not only to the community, but also to individuals who plan on living there, okay? All right, one other document I wanted to read into the record before I'm going to ask our city planner to speak about this, please. Okay, when we were here the last time, one of the other bodies that we use as well as ourselves in hoping to ascertain what the best use of these properties is, we also had some information from the planning board. And the planning board works in conjunction with the zoning committee regarding zone changes. And so they helped us with some of the vetting regarding some of the determinations with the use of this property. There's also a document in here that regarding the overlay district, and I'm just going to read this into the record. Planning board recommendation, zone change 0 and 445 Chicopee Street, Assessor's Map 442, parcels 9091, file 24-3003, pertaining to the relevant properties that we're discussing this evening. Chicopee Planning Board held a public hearing on Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. The purpose of the hearing was to consider a zone change from residential A and business A to residential B with the application of the mill conversion and commercial center overlay district for the entirety of the property for the purpose of residential development. Note, the planning board voted on the base zoning to residential B and the application of the overlay district separately. This page represents the vote for the application of the mill conversion commercial center overlay district. Again, the applicant was the Chicopee Property Management, Co. Visit Teal, 112 East Street, Granby, Mass. 00920. They recommended approval. It was a split vote, but they did recommend approval of the mill conversion and commercial center overlay district. All right. So we had another body that also gave us some voting and some support here, as was evidenced with some of the vetting that went through here. Okay, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, we do have our city planner here, and I did want to mention one other document that I wanted to read into the record before Lee speaks. So just bear with me a second here. This is Chapter 275, Section 67, and this is the Mill Conversion and Commercial Center Overlay District. This is our ordinance here. And in particular, there's a couple of sections here that are relevant and can help us with this process, not only for ourselves, but also for educating the public. And I'm going to read these particular sections. Okay, again, this is Chapter 275, Section 67. Section A, Purpose. Purpose of the Mill Conversion and Commercial Center Overlay District is to promote the economic health and vitality of the city by encouraging the preservation, reuse, and renovation of underutilized or abandoned industrial properties and commercial centers through mixed-use development that includes compatible industrial, commercial, municipal, and residential uses. Section L is also relevant here. This is action by the City Council. The City Council may grant a special permit for a project if it determines that the proposed project complies with the requirements of this section. The City Council shall consider the following when making its determination. Number one, degree to which the proposed project complies with the performance standards set forth in this section. Number two, suitability of the site for the proposed use. Number three, social, economic, or community needs which are served by the proposal. Number four, impact on traffic and pedestrian flow and safety. Number five, adequacy of utilities and other public services. Number six, impact on the neighborhood visual character. Number seven, impact on the natural environment. Number eight, potential fiscal impact, including impact on city services, tax base, and employment. And number nine, special permit evaluation criteria set forth in the City Code, Chapter 275, Section 9. Okay, I've done enough talking. Lee, if you could please shed some light on the Mill Conversion and Commercial Center Overlay District, please. Your perspective, please.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thanks.
And I won't repeat some of the homework that you did, since
Okay.
I was also going to talk about some of those sections. I'll jump in and just talk about the applicability of this overlay district and how it operates. So this is, in fact, an overlay district, which is a type of zoning that sits on top of base zoning. So when you have a property that has base zoning, which every parcel in the city has base zoning, residential A, B, C, business A, B, C, commercial, whatever it may be, the overlay district sits on top of that as another layer. In this case, the overlay district just offers a potential developer an opportunity to permit a different type of project through a different pathway. So they can either use the base zoning, which in this case now is residential B, which allows for single families and duplexes, or they can propose to the City Council a mixed use project through the Mill Conversion Overlay District. Now, as we have discussed in the past, there are no by right uses in the overlay district. They are all special permit uses, meaning the City Council has the discretion to decide if the project is appropriate and therefore should be granted a special permit. So to be clear, just because you apply the overlay district to this property does not mean you are obligated to approve any proposal that is submitted to you with a special permit application. It gives you the opportunity to review and have a discussion and determine whether or not the proposal is appropriate for the site within its context within a neighborhood. So I'm going to quote from a different section of the chapter just to fill in some of the blanks, Councilor, for the two sections you quoted from. This is section C on applicability. The mill conversion and commercial center overlay district may be superimposed over any other district established in this chapter. Any other zoning district, that's your residential A, B, C, commercial, business, industrial. Subject to an approved zone change in accordance with the provisions of Chicopee City Code 275-14. That's the process for requesting the zone change. Land in the overlay district may be used for any purpose permitted in the underlying district and is subject to the underlying district restriction. So if an entity wishes to develop the property in accordance with the base zoning, they are allowed to do so, and they have to follow the requirements of the base zone. The next sentence, exercise of the mill conversion and commercial center overlay district regulations is subject to a special permit from the City Council in accordance with the City Code Chapter 275-9 through 275-13, which governs the Council's review of special permit requests, in addition to the submission requirements described in this section. So that means that's what I just mentioned. An applicant would have the right, if the overlay district was applied, to propose a project via a special permit to the City Council through this chapter. Now, when we talk about base zoning, all base zones have by right uses. So in the case of residential B, it's the single family homes on 7,500 square foot lots or duplexes on 10,000 square foot lots. There are no by right uses here. So everything is approved via the special permit. However, there is a significantly different review and application process. If this property is developed under residential B, it would likely be an A&R plan to subdivide into lots that is endorsed by the planning board, and then individual building permits for each lot to build a structure. In this case, there would be a very significant application process where a plan set that would need to be submitted that includes specific plans for the development proposal per the regulation. So our traditional site plan requirements, a special features plan showing unique qualities of the site that are being integrated into the design, preliminary landscape and architectural design plan showing the location, scale of buildings, typical elevations, their height, their bulk and appearance, perspective drawings of how the development would fit into the neighborhood. You saw this for the townhouses on East Street. Exterior lighting plans, including building and ground lighting, their location supports mounting heights and orientation, floor plans of the interiors of each of the buildings, if there are multiple. And then there's also a requirement to submit a narrative report. And that narrative report, at a minimum, must provide a project summary, a development schedule, a historical narrative if there are any listed historic structures that are being redeveloped, details of erosion and sedimentation controls, subsurface soil and water conditions that impact the project, a traffic impact study, impact to the public sewer system, impacts to the city water supply and distribution system, impacts to municipal and government services, including schools, projected net tax and other revenues anticipated as compared to municipal costs for servicing the property. If the developer is proposing some entity that's going to manage the site, they have to know what that's going to be when they apply. Any easements, covenants, or other restrictions that are required to construct the project, and then any other information the council deems necessary for it to make an informed decision. So this is a very detailed review process that the council goes through before considering granting a special permit for a project under here. And again, because it is a special permit, it is at the council's sole discretion to determine if it is appropriate for this location based on the evaluation criteria reviewed from section L. So there is a high bar for the council to receive and review a project through this chapter. Nothing is automatically approved simply because you decide to apply the overlay district to the property. And just to review, Counselor, I know you mentioned some projects. Both the former Belcher School on Southwick Street and the former Mason's Lodge on East Street, those were both two individual sites that the council decided to apply the overlay district to in recent years that have both received special permits for their respective projects. Belcher School is being converted to 24 apartment units by the Valley Opportunity Council, and the former Mason's Lodge property that burned in the fire, you recently approved for 14 townhouses that will be marketed for sale. Other projects that are in the large contiguous overlay district area include the City Senior Center. River Mills Assisted Living was approved through this process. The Baskin redevelopment parcel to the left of the Senior Center, which will be home to a residential structure, a sports complex, and then a restaurant, market, and offices. While they haven't moved to construction, the council did issue special permits for the conversion of the Dwight Manufacturing Mill and Cabottville to those respective developers in 2019, 2020 for conversion of those projects. And very likely, the selected developer will utilize the mill conversion overlay district for future Uniroyal redevelopment if and when we get there. So it has been being used. We do have examples of it being applied to these sporadic former business and commercial properties throughout the city for both reuse of existing structures and new construction. The townhouses will obviously be new construction, and River Mills Assisted Living was new construction from the ground up as well. So we've seen it applied to existing structures and to vacant properties as well. So I hope that gives you a broader understanding of the process. I'm glad to answer any specific questions you may have, but hopefully with some of these recent projects, there's a good understanding of how a project, if proposed under mill conversion and commercial overlay, would move forward.
All right, Lee, thanks for your insight and for your help with this. Before we open it up to public input, do any of the counselors have any questions for Lee that may help them with decisions or at least to get more information? Go ahead, Counselor.
Thank you. I just have one question through the chair.
I wasn't in attendance at this particular meeting, Counselor, so I wouldn't speak on their behalf. It could have been community feedback. It could have been a number of issues. But yeah, I didn't have any discussions with them.
Any other counselors with our committee that may have questions directed to our planning director before we open it up to public input? Okay. All right. Gary, I'm going to ask you to, if you don't mind being the timekeeper, if that's okay. Okay, folks. I know we have an audience here tonight. People have concerns, questions. So again, I'm just going to reference public input. You'll be limited to 3 minutes. Come up to the microphone, give your name and your address. You'll be timed, so I'm sorry, it looks like we got a good crowd, so we have to adhere to our rules, all right? So if people have questions, again, you can come up to the microphone over there by the drawings, and again, state your name, state your address. We'll have public input before we have further committee discussion, okay? So go ahead, folks, if some people have some questions or concerns. Again, state your name, address, 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mike. Lori, my wife, and I own 192 Empire Street. Just a kind of a quick rebuttal on the statement you had made earlier on the May 29th meeting. You did the zone change from A to B.
Yes.
That meeting, there was a lot of flip-flopping going on. It was actually denied on the first round, and you ask council for advice. If you change your mind in the future, could you do that? Okay, and he said, yes, you can. You can vote yes now or no later. So we're asking, as the taxpayers, to pull that Zone B back to Zone A because there was a lot of flip-flopping going on, number one. Number two, he mentioned Article 257. 257, I don't know, I'm reading it. He mentioned about a comprehensive plan. Do we have one on the floor? Do we have one in mind? Do we have a comp plan? No one's really telling us anything about this. The zone change should be consistent, from what I understand, with the area. And zoning it B for multi or duplexes isn't consistent with that area.
Excuse me, sir, that's single family or duplex, not multifamily.
I'm sorry?
That's either single family or duplexes, okay? It's not multifamily,
Okay, duplexes.
okay? Right,
Okay,
right.
so it's inconsistent to the area.
Well, there's different houses that are in, I'm just gonna mention that to you, that you know that.
Well-
Chicopee Street, okay?
From McKinstry to Pendexter, on that side of the street, there are no duplexes or multifamilies.
Well, again, sir,
So
you can't use
we're taking a
multifamily.
low-density area and we're gonna make it a high commercial? That's what you wanna do?
No, see,
Well, if it's inconsistent, then it should be denied.
well, this is 8 or,
Mr. Chairman, point of order, we're not
right,
public input, we're not debating with the audience, please.
right. Okay, all right, thank you, no, because I'm just looking for clarification here, again, that single family or duplex, okay, with what it was changed to, okay? Go ahead, sir.
We're okay with the single families. We're all here. All the taxpayers here, we're okay. Leave it as Zone A.
You all set?
No, I could be here for hours, but I know I only had 3 minutes.
Right, okay. All right, go ahead. Okay, thank you. Thanks. Okay, all right. Who's, someone else up next, please?
My name is Daniel Slowik. I live at 32 Carl Ave. I've been living there for 19 years. Apologize, I'm gonna read it from the cheat notes. So as plan director mentioned, there are some prerequisites about the overlay, and we think that there's some inconsistency about this. First, designated district in a city is the riverfront redevelopment district, which this does not fall into. There's a specific scope of that overlay. That's or in the ordinance. The intent for the redevelopment underutilized or unbanded industry properties or commercial center. This was never a commercial center or industry property. It was a simple florist. We did mention about the underlying zoning. It's a business B currently. And the ordinance, it's mentioned that for any purpose permitted in the underlying district and its restrictions, you have to follow that. How is that allowed to create apartments in that area if the underlying district is a Zone B, which allows only single-family houses and duplexes? How can you build apartments there? This is a single-family housing area. There's a $500,000 houses right next to it, and the street before and after, they're all single-family houses. Why would we, destroy this? Why would we introduce something new like that? You can drive by Cora Ave. It's all well-maintained houses. Why would you want to destroy that? There's already 2 complexes next to it. There is Empire Park Condominiums and Chicopee Village Town. It's between 300 yards. There's 2 complexes already there. Why would you want to introduce another complex? The infrastructure is not going to handle it. There's a Chicopee Street problem with the pedestrians out there. why would you want to introduce more people to that street and more traffic out there? It was mentioned that this overlay, there's going to be some safeguards. The city will have to approve the permit. We're not going to be coming here every time and we're going to fight every permit. We don't have time for that. Why would you want to introduce this in the first place? Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Again,
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to give feedback.
name and address, please.
Carol Sliwa, and I live on Cora Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
This is, first of all, with all due respect to the members here and to Mr. Pouliot, the city planner, the purpose of Chapter 275-67 is quite clear. It's called Mill Conversion and Commercial Center Overlay District. And it stipulates in there that it's for underutilized or abandoned, quote unquote, industrial properties, which this never was, and commercial centers, which this never was. I asked about that, and in looking through the entire ordinance, there's nothing that defines what a commercial center was. And trying to equate a small family-owned storage, a small family-owned florist business that had a very small storefront that was not even part of a strip mall, and trying to say that that was a commercial center just defies logic. It never was, and now you're trying to repurpose it for something that it never was, ever. And I don't care how many permits or regulations they put, this was never, the applicability of this chapter to that property is putting a square peg into a round hole. It is not appropriate, and it would be subject to legal challenge, because there's no way that that meets that definition. Number one. Number two, what everybody's concerned about is density in this district. Not for me at least, it's not tight. We have two very densely populated housing complexes at the other end of that street already. So the concern with the density here is that you've already got two. We have traffic and congestion problems already. There have been pedestrians killed on the sidewalk in that area, right literally diagonal across the street from Westover Florist. And you're going to compound those issues. And no matter how many guardrails you put on it, this is not an appropriate place for another dense housing complex when there are already two there. This would make us probably one of the densest quarter miles in the entire city of Chicopee if you put another one in there. Now, my feeling is that when we have no knowledge of what's under consideration here, that the owner developer, whoever it is, whoever they sell it to, should be the one who has to apply for any zoning changes. When we have a plan, when we know what we're talking about, when there's more known about what could happen to this. In the meantime, they have what they requested. When they came in, I have one more sentence.
Your time is up.
When they came in, they requested uniform residential B zoning, and they have that. Let's see how they do with residential B zoning before taking this radically different step that would completely change the existing character of the area, and see if they can sell the property as that, which is more agreeable.
Thank you.
And more suitable for that property.
Okay, somebody else, please. Again, name and address, 3 minutes, please. We got a room full of people.
Hi, I'm Risa Teal. I'm the personal representative to my mother's estate. That property since 1965 has been commercial. When they put 391 in, the traffic flow changed, and therefore it was difficult for the business to survive. We have been paying taxes on this property. We had problems with the paper road. We've been doing everything we can so we could sell this property. That's all we want to do. We do not have plans. We just want to sell it so we can close the estate. My mother died 3 years ago. We're still dealing with this. The city council meeting was a fiasco. I've never seen something like, I'm not, I just go, oh my God, politics. People were not informed. They passed something, then they went back and forth, and here we are again. How long is this going to be postponed? We have land we want to sell. We've worked hard. We're business people. We have a residential home there. Just let us sell this land. Someone else buys it, then they can do all the planning and do whatever they have to do to make that property something that this community can benefit from. I see the mill overlay as something that gives you a palette. There's so much prejudice here. And you know, where is the compassion for housing for people who need homes? How about looking at what a community needs? How about a grocery or something? You know, there's so many potential uses of this property that would be beneficial to the neighborhood, to Chicopee, and to my family. And I'm just hoping you will do the right thing so that we can have closure. And that's why I'm here. And please, you're going to have a say with what happens with the zoning when other people come and propose things. But you're tying our lives up too. And this has been going on for years, and I'm tired, and it's time to have some closure, please.
All right. Okay, someone else, please. Name and address, 3 minutes, please. Public input.
Hey, my name is Mark Christov. I live on 150 Empire Street, just right across the piece of land that she's trying to sell. A couple of things I wanted to point out to her. She doesn't even live on in Chicopee. So us neighbors that paid the taxes there, we love Chicopee. We want to take care of Chicopee. I clean up trash every single day. I want to make my lawn look great. And if you ever look on the east side part of Empire Street and all the way to Micken Street, it's all heavy dense apartments there. I don't know if there's Section 8. I know there's some nicer condos, but still, it provides so much traffic on our street. They don't want to put any speed bumps due to fire. You know, fire trucks have to get over on the other side. But everybody and their mother uses our street to pass over because our street is paved super nicely. It's been paved, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. It's wide, and people race all the way down to the street. I have little kids. Everybody has little kids. Everybody here wants to take care of that, you know, that piece of street, I guess, that we own. We want to make sure, you know, it looks great. And when the people that are here, neighbors, when we say it's a bad idea to have built anything there, besides, I'd agree on single family homes, which they already got, you know, approved on. I'm okay with that because I know people, whoever are going to live there in those single family homes are going to take care of that land. If they build anything there, a grocery store, anything, there's going to be a bunch of trash everywhere. There's going to be cars speeding even more. There's going to be even more heavy traffic. Plus, there's nicer houses, you know, in that area. And we want to, you know, we want to protect that. You can build some, I guess you can say, affordable homes at this time. They could be anywhere from $350,000 to $400,000. I know it sounds a lot, but that's the prices, you know, homes go for. I'm okay with that. I'm pretty sure everybody here is okay with that. So when we say it's a bad idea to have anything built there besides single family, see, with duplexes, I know we can't control that. I'll take duplexes over any grocery store. If you need a grocery store, go to Walmart. It's 3 minutes away. There's BJ's, there's Stop and Shop, there's Big Y. So that's that. And plus, one more thing I want to point out. A couple of years ago, there was a piece of land that had some issues also. There's a person that bought it. They were trying to build a single family home right next to my house. So I had to talk to him. I had to overpay and, you know, buy it off of him so he doesn't build anything there because I know how condensed that area is, and it would just been a bad idea. So now this is repeating itself again, except on a bigger level.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else in the audience that wants to speak? Again, 3 minutes, name and address, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be short. Andre Gurich, I live 147 Empire Street. I don't want to repeat. I agree with all my neighbors what they were saying, and I understand she tried to sell the lot to build something, but seems to me it's all behind this something more because they pushing to get different zoning besides of whatever they got. And few years back, I lived there about 9 years now. They tried build Family Dollar. They tried build different things, but in about 5 years period, there is 2 times been gun robbed stores. There is a bunch of it's kind of start higher rates criminals and stuff. It's very tough area because of a lot of I guess apartments, or I don't know, that Section 8 or whatever apartments, and a lot of strange things happened. A lot of cars driving by very fast, and I guess nobody pay attention on that. We complained not even once. So, and now we're talking about probably build some plaza. We don't need plaza. There is 5 minute range. You can get anything. There is 3 or 4 houses, stores. You can shop, couple gas stations, whatever. We got everything on that. Single family, I'm agree on that.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, anybody else in the audience? Okay. Okay.
Hello?
Is there anybody on Zoom for public input? I'm sorry. Glenn, are you there? Are you speaking of public input regarding 445 Chicopee Street? Okay. All right. All right, Chris, anybody else that we don't see? Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, well, I think everybody's had an opportunity, gentlemen. I will take a motion to close public input. Motion made and second to close public input. Agnes, please call the roll.
Pelletier,
Yes.
Labrie,
Yes.
Chomsky,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Zagorowski.
Yes. Okay, public input is closed. Okay. Guess we're gonna go back to discussing this situation here. Any more questions to Lee? Or do we feel pretty confident or that we have good understanding of what this is?
Very thorough.
Okay.
Didn't leave,
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, gentlemen, looks like we have an interesting situation here. As was referenced earlier, there was a zone change here, and they can build single family and duplexes, or if we go to the mill conversion commercial center overlay, then they can do other projects. They can build multifamily, they can build all types of dwellings potentially, but as was explained both by myself and also through Lee, there'd have to be a special permit process, and it's an extensive project that would be going through quite a vetting process, as Lee referenced, and so I'm not sure if we have some more comments before we want to entertain a vote on this. I'm opening it up to the floor if anybody has other comments before we bring it to a vote. Councilor Wagner, go ahead.
I voted against the overlay district last time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do so again this time.
Okay.
I'm somewhat in agreement with the residents. I think based on comments that were made at the prior zoning committee meeting that were being discussed, I think there's somewhat of a lack of, I don't mean it to sound harsh, but understanding or compassion, and there were comments made about, and I quote, the types of people that live in multifamily or low-income housing, which I did not appreciate, even though I voted with the residents on it. I think that the city council meeting where we voted on this made me somewhat sad that this is what I'm a part of at this point. We try and give it our all. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we don't. But I hope always that we keep it coherent and rational and thoughtful, and orderly. And that meeting was not that. Not the city, that's not showing what the city is capable of, that my grandfather gave years of his life to, that my father gave years of his life to, that I gave years of my life to, going on 5 now, in service to. I think it was a shameful display of lack of understanding of zoning ordinances, even though we all tried our best to understand it. And it was just not something I was proud of. With regards to how these properties are zoned now, how this property and all the parcels are zoned, I'm fine with leaving it residential B and taking other options off the table. I think that this is just a problem with poor urban American urban planning, where we focus too heavily on cars and suburban neighborhoods and homes, and we don't think of the people that need housing. People need places to live. And until we completely rethink our neighborhoods, I'm fine with just leaving it with single family homes and duplexes for now. But we're going to have to start thinking long term and leaving old prejudices behind when it comes to higher density housing. It has to happen. Happening everywhere in the world except in the United States. Everywhere. We need to start future planning. I don't see it. I don't see that happening, truly. But at this time, I'm in favor of just keeping it zoned residential B, keeping it with single family duplexes. I'm fine with taking it to that step. And I reminisce of the time when I was on the historical commission when there was reference made to the mill conversion overlay district being used on the old Cabotville mills. I worry about a potential developer coming in, taking this property, and if we don't like what's going on there and we try and shut it down, then they sit on that property, say, well, I'm going to sell this for $10+ million because I don't think you guys played ball with me properly. And when we cut off the money from the Mass Historic grants and the letters of support and the special permits, things got nasty, and they're still nasty with it. Tried to prevent the sale of that property, the mayor's office did. Wasn't successful. I worry about a situation like that, at least with just the residential zoning. People know what they're getting into. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thanks for your insight. Other counselors, before we entertain a vote? Councilor Bree.
Yeah, I voted for the mill conversion overlay. And, now that I hear that the applicant is actually, trying to sell the property and she doesn't want to develop it, I'm willing to, keep it as Residence B. So if somebody else does buy the property and wanted to do something with it, then they would have to come in to see us. And correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, could they then ask for a mill conversion after the fact, after they buy it and it's a residential B property?
So the answer to that is it depends. So if you deny the application of the overlay, so just to clarify what you just said, if you approve the overlay, that doesn't make the residential B go away. The residential B stays as the base zoning. You would just be adding this second layer to it. So anyone who buys the property, if you apply the overlay district, they would have the option of doing a residential B project by right, or asking and proposing through a special permit through the overlay to do something different. If you deny this and someone buys it in 2 years, before the 2-year cooling off period, they would have to wait if they wanted to propose something that wasn't single families and duplexes, because the proposal would substantially be the same to apply the overlay district. The only difference would be that maybe they have a conceptual plan of what we're doing, what they would like to do. But from a marketability standpoint and being consistent with both our comprehensive plan and the brownfields planning work we've done with Willimantic, looking at something that is mixed use in nature would advance the planning work that we've done for this neighborhood. So just to be clear, again, you're not wiping away the residential B zoning. This just sits on top of it, and it's an alternative pathway for permitting for a project. Might make the property more marketable to a developer who is more accustomed to doing mixed-use projects, but it doesn't negate the ability of a developer to come in and do by right single families and duplexes.
And through the chair, he does not have to use that conversion. He could just stick to the base.
It is
zone.
no requirement that the overlay district be utilized. It's just an option. It's a voluntary action. So any developer takes the risk that the council denies that special permit, which means they would not be able to do any mixed-use project that they may propose. So they will invest the time and energy and money to put together that application package, which is substantial, knowing there's a risk that the council says, no, this is not appropriate for the neighborhood.
Because if somebody does come in, you know, and she just gets a B, sells it as a residential B, you know, I look at the money today to build a development and price of cement, the price of tar, sewer system, which will fall on the developer from. And I don't know if it's, you know, cost effective to do something like that. Might be tying somebody's hands, and she might have to sell the property and put a ton of houses down there, you know, make a lot of money.
Right, and again, Counselor, just to build off of that, the family has been making an effort to market this for many years as mostly residentially or business zoned. So business lot arguably has higher value in the marketplace because there are higher level uses that would generate revenue faster for a developer. And it hasn't moved. And I will say, in speaking and working with Risa and her family with our Willimantic Brownfield neighborhood plan and with our comprehensive plan, they have done a great deal of work to try to make this property marketable, including demolition of the greenhouses in the back, environmental cleanup work from some of the past agricultural practices that were done there. We had an ability with our Brownfields program to review some of those reports. So the family has made a great deal of efforts, but I think you're hitting on something critical in this marketplace. You know, getting 5 or 6 lots out of this might not be something that a developer can cash flow with the way the things are priced right now. So it may just sit there longer. So the question is, do you want to try to limit this to single families and duplex, or do you want to be open to considering something else that might cash flow for a developer? You can still say no because it's a special permit.
They always have to come back to us with the mill conversion.
Correct.
And they have to meet all of the planning, building, every other code.
Correct. And in addition, when we do an overlay district review, you get your regular SPRAC department, so police, fire, building, engineering, water, sewer, but we add the assessors and the school department so that they can put their input as well.
So I'm gonna just, you know, pedal backwards and, you know, I will vote then for the mill conversion as long as we have all of those place cards checked and get another bite at the apple, because selling it just as a residential B, it's gonna be that same property. I think I don't know, she'll know how long it's been vacant, but I'd say at least 20 years. And, so it's just stagnant. It's, you know,
What's that, Councilor Bree?
Yeah.
Okay, Councilor Wagner, excuse me, you had your hand up again.
Thank you. Through the chair to the attorney, we made reference to the fact that if we deny a commercial overlay district tonight, that for 2 years, somebody would not be able to come back. As far as I was understanding it, for that to be the case, somebody will have had to put forward a plan, applied for a special permit, and put something before this council for that 2-year denial clock to start ticking. Or any weight to the notion that there would be a 2-year time limit to try and reapply for a commercial mill or a mill conversion overlay district zoning application?
So remember that the committee is just a recommending body. So the city council would actually have the vote. So it would be I don't know, is it the August 6th meeting this would be on? So the August 6th meeting would be the meeting. And if the council votes it down, then the petitioner can't reapply for this for 2 years.
What if they sell the lots and it's a different person?
Doesn't matter.
There's no distinction.
I can add on to council's comments.
By all means.
So you are not being asked to review an actual special permit application. You're only being asked to apply the overlay district. So I would challenge you, if someone did buy it and said, I want to pursue a mixed use project, that individual is not going to invest probably $50,000 to put together site plans and a narrative report to simply apply for application of the overlay district. They're going to want that before they invest the money in the design and engineering of a application for a special permit. So don't get caught in the idea that someone who wants to do a project here is going to fully develop plans in support of application of the overlay district. That's a massive risk for a developer.
I wasn't making that implication.
So your potential developer in this hypothetical situation would be in the same situation that the family is in, which is asking you to apply the overlay district to give them an opportunity to apply for a special permit.
Right. When we're talking about that, though, your previous words had made reference to plans needing to be substantially different. That's why I made the ask to the attorney about if it's just simply asking for the overlay district. I'm aware that there's no application before the committee. I'm aware that no one is going to spend $50,000 just put in the application for the mill conversion overlay district. I was asking the procedural question on if it matters if the property changes hands, and do they need to have submitted something in the first place for a 2-year clock to start ticking in the first place. So I was asking clarification on that. Thank you.
All right, Councilor Shumsky, I think you had a question.
Thank you. I have a question through the chair to our planning director. In regards to the mill zone conversion.
Correct. No, because the single families and duplexes are the by right uses in the base zoning. So they would be able to advance a subdivision plan to do that, and then it would go straight to building permits. So the city council would have no further involvement if the property was developed exclusively as single family and duplex units.
What's that, Councilor? Councilor Zagorowski, do you have a question? Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we've heard some interesting proposals this evening, gentlemen. Are we ready for a vote, or is there some more discussion or some more thinking here?
Oh, I'm ready for that.
Okay. Well, all right then. Okay. I will Before we call for the vote, I just wanted to say something here that, yeah, this is an interesting one. We have, neighbors who have some concerns. And then we also have, an applicant whose family that's had this property for a while and would like to finally do something with it. Now the question is, how do you make it marketable so that someone or some entity comes in and feels that it's going to be a good project for them? So that's kind of where we're at right now. So, all right. Okay. I will entertain a motion to either approve or deny the mill conversion and commercial center overlay.
I'll make a motion to approve the mill conversion and commercial center overlay.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the mill conversion and commercial center overlay for the purpose of a proposed residential development. Okay. All right, so it's my understanding, again, we are a recommending body. This will go before the full council. I believe it's Tuesday, August 6th for either approval or denial of this. So a yes vote will approve it, and a no vote will defeat it. All right. Any further comments on this before I ask Agnes to call? Okay. Okay, Agnes, please call the roll.
Valacare,
After listening to everyone here, I think I'm going to say no at this point.
Labrie,
Yes.
Chomsky, Wagner,
No.
Zagorowski.
No.
Okay. So it looks like, based on the votes, there's a denial of the mill conversion and commercial center overlay. Again, we're just a recommending body. So I'm going to write this up and we'll sign off on this. So again, yes vote approves it, a no vote defeats it. Okay, Councilor Simmons, you have a pen. If it's unfavorable, you have to vote. I'm voting no, right? Right. Favorable, yes. Okay, so the motion was to approve the purpose of adding the mill conversion commercial center overlay for the purpose of a proposed residential development. Committee voted 4 unfavorably, 1 favorable. Again, we're a recommending body. This will go before the full council on August 6th, Tuesday, for a vote. All right? Okay, folks, thanks for coming. Have a good evening. Okay, well, we'll wait a minute until we let the room get cleared before we get to item number 2. Are you coming back?
Coming back.
Okay.
Why am I taking the paper? Yeah.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know. All right. Room. No, you never know. It's going to be a tough one. Very tough one. We're just going to wait till our other member comes back before we start. Just bear with us a minute, too. Yes. Yep. Yeah, and that's the Chicopee River Business Park, West Mass. Right. Never heard of the company. Should I start or wait, Barry? Should I start? All right. Okay. I think we're going to continue with the meeting. We were waiting for Councilor Wagner to come back, but he said he was filling up his water bottle. But we'll start. I think he'll join us. Okay. Item number 2 on special permit application under Chapter 275. Section 63.1, subsection D2, for the purpose of a warehouse and manufacturing facility with associated site improvements located at a portion of 0 Robbins Road, parcel 2B, map and parcel ID 0109-000001. The applicant is Trafa Pharmaceuticals, Inc. CO Mr. Shahid Abid, 140 Paget Street, Chicopee, Mass. 01013. Okay, is the applicant here?
We are.
Okay, again, your name and your address, please.
Sure. Rebecca Lee with our Levesque Associates, located at 40 School Street in Westfield, Massachusetts. I'm here tonight with AJ Crane.
A Crane Construction, 821 East Main.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Right. We're here tonight to seek approval of the special permit for the use for a manufacturing and warehouse facility on lot number 2B within the Chicopee River Business Park. Plan here shows a building, 100,000 square foot building in 2 different phases. Phase 1 will be 50,000 square feet. Phase 2, which will be completed shortly after, another 50,000 square feet. The facility will be accessed via Robbins Road, via 2 curb cuts. The rear of the building will have some loading docks for pickup and deliveries. There's parking for pedestrian vehicles along the front here. We are proposing a stormwater basin to meet the requirements for stormwater specifically designed for the requirements of the original stormwater report for the business park. So yeah, other than that, we do have some development since we've submitted last with some further plans and details of utility connections, stormwater features, landscaping, indication of where those loading docks will be. But we are more than happy to address and answer any questions that the committee may have, unless AJ, you wanted to add.
We successfully there was a negative determination at Conservation Commission, so anything that's back here, Poor Brook, we're not impeding on any of that. We don't have to go back to them at all. And the SPRAC meeting, there was very, very limited comments, which our Levesque took into account.
All right, okay, all right, thank you. Okay, let me just read a couple of things so you folks can take a break for a second or two or a minute too. There's a couple of reports I want to read into the record. And we're going to have Lee give us some insight on this, and there may be some additional questions. All right, so you can have a seat if you like, please. Okay. Okay, thank you. I would just like to read into the record. There are some department reports here, and I'll proceed as follows. Okay. We have a department report from the Health Department, and I'll read this into the record. No concerns at this time. We have something from engineering here. The engineering department will perform a full review of the site plans and drainage computations as part of the SPRAC. Apparently there was a SPRAC meeting of the applicant. It was scheduled for July 18th, 2024. I believe there are some comments that you made referencing SPRAC before. Building department, there is no report here. And let me see, continuing with the file. We have report from the Department of Planning and Development from our Director Lee Polya. I'll read it as follows. Regarding special permit recommendation for Zora Robbins Road, Councilor Balakir. Property is zoned Guardian Industrial Plan Unit Development Type 2 IPUD. Proposed use described as warehouse and manufacturing facility. Principal use allowed by special permit following determination that such use can be integrated into the accepted development scheme and surrounding developed area. Abutting parcels are IPUD Type 2 and Residential A, and planning recommends approval. If approved, the project will require both preliminary and definitive site approvals from the Planning Board, in addition to a possible filing with the Conservation Commission. And the last report in the file is from the Collector's and Treasurer's Office for verification of payment of all bills. It looks like nothing is outstanding here. Okay. Lee, can you shed some light on this proposal, please? Thank you.
Sure, Councilor. This special permit request is because the proposed project is a two-phase project. The first phase being a 50,000 square foot warehouse distribution facility. The second phase being an additional 50,000 square feet split between additional warehouse space and production. Because the first phase is warehouse and distribution and the project does not meet the definition of last mile courier and logistics, it requires a special permit from the City Council prior to advancing plans for construction. If the production piece were going first, this warehouse piece would be ancillary to the production use, but the applicant needs the storage space now and plans to build out a phase 2 at a later date. So the special permit is exclusively for the use of this property that is in this business park with unique zoning to start as just warehouse and distribution facility. I think most of you are familiar with Chicopee River Business Park. It was a pre-planned, pre-permitted industrial park in the city. All the infrastructure is in place to support anything. Some of you may be familiar with this property. It was previously the site of a proposed Harvey Windows manufacturing facility that was approved and never constructed. This development is much smaller in scale than what that proposal was. So clearly the infrastructure we have in place should be able to tolerate bringing this facility on board. If you approve the special permit, this requires both preliminary and definitive site plan review with the planning board. We've done a SPRAC review on preliminary plans, as you mentioned, but there's a little bit more to go before it'll be ready for construction permits.
Okay, all right, Lee, thank you. Any questions for Lee before I open it up for public input? Members of the committee have any questions? Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, I'd like to open this up to public input. Are you folks, do you folks want to talk? Are you with public input?
Can I make one comment, Counselor? I also live in the city.
Okay, sure, with public input, okay.
23 Rich Street, AJ Crane.
Okay.
Yeah, these are the three owners over here, just so we're clear. But I wanted to make something clear about the phasing of the project.
Okay.
So the first 50,000 square feet is phase one. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that'll be the closest to East Main Street. All of the infrastructure and parking lots will be built as part of phase one. So it won't be a major construction. It'll just be the addition of the building. All of the fire suppression, all the parking lots, all fire access, all of this drainage, all that stuff will be part of phase one. So there won't be any major utility work or anything like that as part of phase two.
Okay, all right. And that's just for the warehouse?
That's just for phase one, the warehouse.
Phase
Just,
one.
yeah, 99% warehouse. The second phase, which they're growing at a rapid rate, they plan to do a lot more manufacturing in phase two, which is all indoor, very clean room based stuff. No noise, no odors, no things like that. Compressed pills and things like that. So I just wanted to make that clear about the phasing.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Zagroski, did you have a question?
What kind of facility is this going to be?
So
What are they going to manufacture there?
So what they do is warehouse bulk product of individual ingredients that go inside pills and supplements and things like that. So they warehouse the gross ingredients in big drums, and then they wholesale smaller quantities of that to people that make the pills or the supplements or whatever. Does that make sense?
Drugs? Are you talking about drugs there?
Yeah, they can explain this significantly better than I can.
Okay.
I fumbled through that. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Gensler, your name and address, and please.
My name is Hamid Habib. We currently have a warehouse in Chicopee at the Westover, 140 Paget Street. Our proposed use would be warehousing. We will be warehousing raw materials, which are mostly in powdered form. For example, you want to come up with your own brand of vitamins, right? You need vitamin A, B, C, all to go inside a pill. That we supply, that we store in a raw powder form. So it will be a food grade facility since it has to be edible. So that would be one requirement. Second phase will be very light manufacturing. For example, now we have the powder. We need to put those in the pills, which normally happens inside closed rooms. No heat or anything like that involved. No smoke is involved. Very light manufacturing.
How many employees do you plan to have in there?
We are planning to have from 25 to 30 employees.
Yeah, I just have one question. Looking at that map, is that building going to be built through those gates or before the gates on the left?
So this is, we don't have a larger site plan here, I don't think, but if you're at the gates with the Legion, the old Legion on your left, it's way up to the right, almost to the solar field. All the way up as far as you can go to the cul-de-sac.
You're going through the gate?
Through the gate. The gate is only there to keep people out right
There's
now.
all kind of lights and sidewalks and everything.
There's lights, sidewalks, infrastructure, catch
So
basins,
it's gonna be in there,
and, oh yeah, way up in there, yeah.
way in the back. Okay.
Yeah, so if you go all the way up Eaton Street,
Yeah, I know
this is
where
Eaton Street over here.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad to see it's gonna be developed because it's been empty about 50 years.
yeah,
I
we've
think.
been trying.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so yeah, like the counselor said, this is the old Harvey window site. So this is, I think, 17 acres of it, or something,
Hey,
something
if you're
like
gonna
that.
have
Right?
that much powder and everything, that your fire suppressant units are gonna be
Yeah,
class A.
it's not combustible, but yeah, it'll be sprinkled and all that for sure.
Right, thank you.
Okay, all right.
That's my question.
Well, all set, Bob?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, is there anybody on, Zoom for public input, regarding, this proposal for Zero Robbins Road? All right, I'll, take a motion then to close public input.
Motion to close public input.
Motion made and second to close public input. Agnes, can you, please call the roll?
Valakir,
Yes.
Labrie,
Yeah.
Chomsky, Wagner,
Yes.
Zagorowski.
Okay, and public input's closed. Okay, gentlemen, I'm not sure if, does anybody have any other questions regarding to this? Before I entertain a motion, I just want to mention that, our planning director thought that we should have, the conditions, that the project requires both preliminary and definitive site approvals from the planning board in addition to possible filing with the Conservation Commission. So I think that would be prudent for us to put that into our motion. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve, with the, conditions,
That Lee referenced.
yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'll second that motion and I'll have to write it up accordingly. Okay, Agnes, please call the roll.
Valakir,
Yes.
Labrie,
Yes.
Chomsky, Wagner,
Yes.
Zagorowski.
Yes.
Okay, and motion passes. Let me just write this up. And this would be a permit to run with the land. Okay, let me just bear with me a minute to write this up. Motion to approve. Yeah, I had to write those conditions down there. Oh, Jim, we're gonna get out earlier than I thought.
A bunch of letters.
All right, thank you, Gary. Okay, gentlemen, there was the motion on the floor to approve the proposed project at 0 Robbins Road with the following conditions. Project will require both preliminary and definitive site approvals from the planning board in addition to possible filing with the Conservation Commission. The full committee voted approval of it, and this will go, and this is a permit to run with the land, and this will go before the full city council on Tuesday, August 6th, all right, for approval or for a vote, all right? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening. Thank you. Let me see.
Accept the minutes.
Okay, next, item number 3, motion to accept the minutes of June 26, 2024. I'll take a motion.
Motion to accept the minutes.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of June 26, 2024. Agnes, please call the roll.
Valakir?
Yes.
Labrie?
Yes.
Chomsky? Wagner?
Yes. Yes.
Zegarowski?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Minutes are approved. Okay, and item number 4, motion to adjourn. I'll take a motion.
Adjourn.
Motion made and seconded for adjournment. Agnes, please call the roll.
Valakir?
Yes.
Labrie? Chomsky? Wagner? Zegarowski?
All right. And the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen, for your help. It was contentious, but we got through it.